Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Let me tell you, last episode was an absolute disaster. I felt ashamed and embarrassed. Hopefully, this one is not going to follow suit. A couple of numbers need updating, but currently we stand at £926.33 total profit in this series out of a total £2,000, which is when it will end. Can we break the barrier of £1,000 in today's episode? I buy faulty electronic items, attempt to fix them, and then sell them for a profit. Welcome your faces back to episode number 25, season 2 of the series Profit or Loss. Here I have... here I had a PlayStation 5. What happened there? So that's how this episode is going to go, is it? Nice one. Let's put that back on properly. There we go. I've got a digital edition PlayStation 5 here that I actually purchased from eBay for a grand total of £168.50, which is actually quite a bit of money. To put it into perspective, I bought a job lot of disc version PS5s recently for £115 each. And I'm going to go ahead and assume this has been opened before. It has, yeah. I've fumbled this one massively. I'm really tempted to put this one back in the box. I'm missing the fan shroud. We're missing a sticker here. Obviously, the warranty sticker is missing. The SSD cover is missing with the little screw, by the way, that goes in here. I'm just going to rip this one off like a plaster and get it done with. This could have been an utter waste of money. I think the issue, from what I can recall, is that it doesn't display. Yeah, so here we go. This Sony PlayStation 5 digital edition console in white is being sold faulty due to issues with the HDMI port. HDMI socket broken from the inside. I will remove the hard drive for my account privacy, assuming they're talking about the SSD. But what they took with it was pretty much everything else. Well, from bird's eye view, looking at it from this standpoint, yeah, it looks okay. But like they said on the description, it's broken from the inside of the console. So we need to go ahead and bust it open. Should also make sure that it actually powers on before I do anything further with this. I'm missing so many screws as well. Right, plugging it in. Do we get a white light here? Okay, we get a blue. I'm actually very shocked. I'm very shocked. It's a blue light. Does it go to a white light? The fan spins as well, which is obviously good news. If this LED goes to a white light, it means I can continue taking apart the PlayStation 5 to investigate the issue as to why it doesn't display. Now, 9 times out of 10, when it doesn't display, as the seller has stated on the eBay, it's something to do with the port broken on the inside. But we have various other chips and a whole plethora of connections on the motherboard that could cause no display. And trust me when I tell you, buying from eBay is never as it seems. So I went to a white light. It's just gone back to a blue light because I'm assuming it wasn't shut down correctly. So I'm going to give it a couple more seconds. There we go. Back to a white light. Sweet. Let's turn it off and start taking it apart. Because it's been opened before, I cannot wait to see what's inside. First glimpse. We go with a meh. Not too bad. For some reason, this is... Whoa. This cable. I'm so surprised this cable is still working. Somebody got hungry and really wanted to feast on that. Look at that. How is that even still work? I don't understand. Jeez. Probably aim to get that replaced. Dust bunny galore. Just up here, as we can see. And very filthy down here as well. This console's actually been taken right the way apart. And what do I mean by that? Well, the power supply is under here, beneath the motherboard. And these wires, these antenna wires that you see here, have been squished against the chassis. They're actually meant to come up through this little gap here. Or it may even be just up through here on this version. I'm sure it is through here. But they've been squished against here, so somebody's taken everything out in order to try and get this working. I don't think this is just going to be something as simple as a no power, but I've been wrong on many occasions before. I'm also missing probably around about 50 screws in total. Screws have been put back in the wrong places. These aren't the right screws, man. I don't know where these screws have come from. What are these screws? I've never seen these. Do you know what? They look like Xbox screws. PS5 screws that we have that are meant to go in these holes are silver. And these are completely different. Look at the size of the heads and stuff. So I'm really hoping they haven't messed something up on the board because of using these screws. Yeah, look, because you can still see some of the silver screws here. So why would you see these silver screws and think that it's going to be the black ones? First impressions, yeah, like I said, I'm really shocked and surprised that this power's on, if I'm honest. Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. What on earth am I witnessing here? First things first, this is on the wrong way and has been so stripped, so unbelievably stripped. Am I going to be able to get it off? Yes, okay. Luckily. What about this one? Yes, luckily. This PlayStation 5 needs saving and I'm going to try my best to do the saving. So you might be thinking, Jerry, what did you get so shocked about a second ago? Well, my friends, this is what the HDMI port looks like from the back, by the way. This isn't the front, this is the back. Let me show you how it's meant to look, okay? So this is exactly how it's meant to look. It looks like that. Let's get this board out. Oh, what is that? I don't understand what that is. Some like gunk. All I could do is laugh. It's all I could do. I feel crazy because it's just me and the camera getting to witness this, and obviously soon quite a fair few people. So let's head under the scope and I'll show you what I'm laughing at. I don't know where to start. This, by the looks of it, is they've just put a wire from here to here because maybe they've had what looks to be a faulty filter. What's a filter meant to do, Joey? A filter literally carries the connection from this trace over to this trace. So it's just a continuous path. And I think, again, I'm assuming what's happened. Yeah, that's just coming straight off. I'm assuming what's happened is they've tried to do a continuity test and the connection doesn't go from this side to this side. And then if we just have a little look upwards on the board, oh my goodness gracious me. What am I witnessing here? What is this? I've seen before, I've had it on my channel, I've seen it on plenty of other channels where you have something called plumber's flux. I believe this is exactly what this is because this has almost corroded the board. Look at it. You see what it's done to the copper? It's absolutely disgusting. They have mangled this area of the board. Absolutely mangled it. If we look at the back, because now I can do it under the scope. Whoa, whoa, whoa. I can't even see what's going on. I have no idea. This is the actual back of the HDMI circuit, which luckily hasn't been touched. It does look very fluxy around here. So again, when I apply some heat, this is all going to liquefy and I should be able to clean it. Should be in the keyword. Up here, however, we've got a diode. Do you know what? I don't even know where that diode's come from. There is meant to be a small diode here, but this is a rather big diode. Where's that come from? Again, if I show you the HDMI port on the back on another board, look, I've taken the diode from here, but it's a tiny one that goes from this pad to this pad, and we have a small cap. Where's that diode come from? It's missing from somewhere. Unless they've taken this diode from somewhere else, a different board entirely, and tried to put it on this pad here. I can't believe what I'm seeing. Right, I've definitely, I think, to say the least, got my work cut out for me. And if we go over to look at the lamp port as well. Luckily, the inside's okay, but we've definitely got our work cut out for us. This poor thing, man. I don't know what traces need repairing. I'm not going to know until I get this port off. So let's get to work. I'm going to take it nice and slow and talk you through exactly what it is that's going through my head to get this clean. The port needs to come off. That's the first thing. Now I'm going to come in here with 480 degrees Celsius and an airflow speed of 99%. That is absolutely maximum on my hot air station. I've got my fume extractor on because health is wealth. It's not my new one yet. I've still not installed it, but I've got my old one. There we go. Look, this is just dropping off already. How's the actual port look? Yeah, I feel sorry for it. I'm going to take this diode off. And the logic here is to just clean this whole circuit entirely. I'm talking maybe even take this cap off. Just doesn't deserve it. I'm going to rebuild the entire circuit here. Come in now with a bunch of flux. And clear off what I can with my soldering iron. I might need to bring out Big Bertha. Joey, what's Big Bertha? Let me introduce you to Big Bertha. Melt all this flux. Now I'm going to come through with a microfiber cloth. And just see how we look. From this side of the board anyway. Okay. We can obviously see a little bit more clearly now compared to how it was before. Wow, wow, wow. Look at this. Luckily, the diode pad that we have here hasn't been torn completely to the point where we need to restore that trace, so that's all good. This is just going to be ground anyway, so that's okay. It's just all of this is so bad. I need to clear out these ground holes because they've got quite a bit of solder in, as you can tell. And to do that, simply, we go hot air and our solder sucker. There we go. Looks better. Nice and clear now at least. So we'll be able to get a port through these holes now. Okay, let's flip it over and remind ourselves how bad the other side is. Yeesh, 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 yeesh. Again, I kind of just want to rebuild the whole circuit, so I'm going to take the components off. I can't trust anything here right now. My flux, Big Bertha, and wick it away. All of it. Okay. This now looks a little bit more presentable compared to how it did look, that's for sure. We can see actually what's going on. And it looks like all I'm going to have to do really is trace repair on one of the traces. I think this one here, which is going to this pad. Ooh, that also looks like it's been stripped. That definitely has been. So I need to solder a wire from here to the pin. Every other one looks okay. I can't believe it. We should have a cap that goes here, no problem. But every other trace looks all right. Going to be using quite a bit of solder mask, I think, just to try and make this look as pretty as I possibly can. And then we also need to sort out these filters. Again, I probably need to get that clear and take all these off, just to be safe. There we go, just a little clean like that. Look, looks amazing now. Those traces look alright to me. I think it was just the actual filter itself. So God only knows why they just didn't replace the filter. Maybe they didn't have a replacement filter at hand, but the traces themselves looks okay. I just need to put the filters on. They didn't change this chip, did they? No, absolutely not. I think we'd be able to tell if they did. I can now switch back to my normal size soldering iron. Right, let's get all of these components put back on first, and then we'll focus on the actual port itself. So just a bit of flux, leaded solder on the end of the iron. Okay, start this by just taking one component at a time and transferring it over to this board. We'll worry about making it pretty in a second. That's most of that one done. So then we just add some flux here, lower our speed to about 40%, and then float all in place. There we go. Wick up this little bit of solder here. Put this on the ground plane. Come through with a cotton swab. Just clean up as we go. It's one of the #1 rules. And if the components don't last here, they weren't fit for purpose and they weren't soldered on correctly. Bit of IPA and a brush. There we go. Looking good. Now the hard bit here, I actually need to fill up the ground holes with leaded. I think I'm going to be okay just to go ahead and add the flux and the solder. Kind of thinking, do I add the conformal coating first and then do this? But I don't think I do here. I think I'll just try and get this in here. It's going to take a lot, mind. Do both sides. And then do the actual pads. There we go. Again, a clean to get rid of the flux whilst the board is nice and hot. There we go. Nice. That side is pretty much sorted. Now I just need to sort out the back. We can see as well that the solder's come through the ground leg, so when we put this port on, it should be very nice and stable. If anything, you could argue more stable now because we have more exposed ground to help hold the port into place. I'm just tinning these now. There we go. Nice. Should be on fairly securely. And then we come in with some more flux. Lower the speed of the air again and reflow that into place. Perfect. That should be okay. There is one more cap we need to place on, which is just for a bit more added protection on the port itself. There's this little cap and it just goes there. And should sort itself out. There we go. Okay, this is, believe it or not, it's ready for a port. Let's see how we get on. Tin our port. There's a lot of flux there. I think it's because my flux tube is hot. And when your flux tube is hot, it obviously becomes a lot runnier. There we go. Perfect. All of those are tinned. And I know right now it doesn't look pretty. And if I'm being honest, I don't think it's going to look massively pretty when we go to put it on the board. But it should look better than what it did previously. There's our flux added. I go for something called the drop method. Exactly what it says on the tin. So I heat up from underneath. Same temps, 480 degrees Celsius, 99% airflow. And I drop the port on when this becomes liquefied, which is about to. Should be okay. Rule #1, act quick and clean. Whilst that flux is nice and hot, get around what you can and give it a nice clean. There we go. Take a look inside the port from here. Yeah, look at that. They're all soldered down very nicely. We've still got the cap in place. We just need to solder the last pin. As you can see, is pin 19 soldered for that matter. Yeah, it is. Nice. But you can see they all look really nicely bonded to the pads. Now, usually what I pride myself in is the fact that we get the solder ride up the legs and create a really strong connection. However, because of the situation we have, it's going to be really hard to achieve that. Even on this side, look. But we can tell that there's a lot of solder that's gone through those holes to the other side of the board, which in effect will be holding this port in place, as we can see. Sometimes less is more, but I'm actually just going to add some leaded and spread this out a bit more evenly. So it's got a better chance of holding that port in place. And again, I know this doesn't look the prettiest, but I think is necessary. There we go. Okay, not horrendous. Now we just need to sort out the single trace that we have that's broken. That was too thick. I think this wire is going to be perfect. Yeah. So if I just use this little spot here as a place to just tin the end of this wire. Like that. If I get a tiny bit of flux just there, I should be able to tack it on. Okay. Kind of got it secure a little bit. I'm going to come in with my tweezers now. Angle the board slightly like this. Come in with my Metcal, which has a thinner iron tip. Just to attach that. Need to straighten it. I can't actually see what I'm doing now. We go again. Retin this wire. It's not sticking to it, unfortunately. Right, I think that's it. Finally. Took me ages. It looks nice and strong now, at least. All I should have to do is just tack it down to here. There we go. Nice. And just cut it. I now need to get all this flux out. If the wire comes away, it definitely wasn't fit for purpose, so it should be able to survive a good scrub at least, which looks to be absolutely fine. Right, how are we looking? I think we're looking all right, you know. Could have been a lot worse, let's put it that way. Everything seems to be connected from what I can tell. Let's just put this wire in line with the other. Stuff like that. Yeah, it's definitely all connected. Nice. Before I go ahead and give this some conformal coating, I do need to test to make sure that we're going to be okay. So it's time for testing. I forgot a very important thing right here before we test, to put the filters on, because that definitely would not have worked. 1, 2, 3, 4. Lower airspeed and flux. Okay, nice clean. And a quick test for continuity. If you hear a beep like this, it means that it's good. From one side to the other. That's good. That's good. I want to make sure this goes to here, which it does. Perfect. And they don't cross over, do they? Nope. This to here. Yep. And here. Yep. Here. Nope. That's good. Here, here. Yep. Here, here. Yep. Here, there. Nope. That's good. Here, here. Good. Here, here, there. Good. And here? No. Perfect. Now we can test. Unfortunately for me, I have 1,000,001 other things to do if the HDMI port works on this. I'm just making sure that it works before I go ahead and do those things. Power in, HDMI, HDMI lead, in, scary. I'll be recording on my phone as well because I can't do it on OBS because of HDCP. Kind of need to make sure it turns on, which it does, and hopefully goes to a white light. There we go, white light massive. Make sure it doesn't go to a blue light actually. Okay, here we go. So I need to do this twice. I know it's silly, but the first time it never works. And it should be on the second one. If we see it say HDMI 1, now, it means we're in for a good time. Come on. Please. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. No! It doesn't work. Let's check again, just to make sure. No bueno. Let me just clean the cable with IPA. Make sure we're nice and clean. Okay, nice and clean. Check now. Nope, one more time. What? Yes, let's go. Oh, it's a fluxy port. So it does work. Jubbly. Let's just do a wiggle test. Make sure it doesn't cut out. All good. Amazing. Oh, that's a relief. Right, let me turn this console off and do the changes that I need to make it look a little bit more presentable, I guess. I think first things first is a quick hoover for everything as well. I was just looking at the area there where the HDMI port is to conformal coat, and it doesn't actually need any conformal coating, if I'm being honest. Nothing's going to short out. That wire is only one wire. It's not going anywhere. It's not even close to touching either sides of the other pins on the HDMI port, so I don't believe there is a reason here to add solder mask. I think we're okay. I've got myself a replacement front panel connector where the power button is, as well as a new heatsink, because quite a bit of the heatsink was actually stained. Let's see if I can show you on that camera. With liquid metal, and I was just a little bit worried about it shorting out. I know the whole thing's made of metal anyway, but if we look at here, we've got some like stains and whatnot. So I've just replaced this with another heatsink. I'm going to put it all back together, maybe even give it a little bit of playtime just to make sure that it works. I've done exactly that. The PlayStation 5 works absolutely fine. Also tested it on multiple TVs just to make sure that there wasn't any intermittent connection between the HDMI port and the cable. Obviously it was a little bit fluxy, but I actually think this is my cable that's fluxy, not necessarily the port too much, because we give it a good clean. That being said, that PlayStation 5 is fixed and I cannot believe it. Super happy I was able to put this one back out into the world for it to get some use. Let's head on over to Sally's spectacular spreadsheet to weigh everything up. So I've put the digital PS5 here, 168.50, way too much that I paid for that. A new port was £1, estimated sell price, I'm gonna say 240. So our estimated profit is only just shy of £50. So we'll see what that brings us. All the other PS5s have been listed from episode number 24. Saying that, I think one of them sold. And after fees, it was 125.34. So instead of losing £30 on the estimated, we've only managed to lose 17. I'm okay with that. Obviously, we've got a few blanks here. I really need to get a power supply for those Xbox Series X's and just waiting for stuff to sell. Time taken for this episode, I'd say about an hour and a half or so. Our estimated profit, £30.91. And again, scores on the doors still remain the same because we haven't really sold too much, nor updated this little tab here. We're at £926.33 out of a possible £2,000. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I'll leave the start to this playlist just here so you can watch from the very beginning. Have a great rest of your day, week, weekend, whatever it is for you. And I shall see you, as always, in the next one. Peace.